If some folks in California got their way, the Golden State would be 6 states instead of 1. A Silicon Valley venture capitalist is on a mission to remake California as we know it. He wants the state to look like this. The most populous state, Democratic state, would be broken up into pieces, some red and some blue. Why draw these borders? According to those that support the bill, California is too big to properly function, and the differences between the regions so vast that the government doesn't represent all the people. The disputes are over everything from public schools, water, and transportation. California citizens could be voting on a ballot initiative to split up the state as soon as November. To discuss, the man behind the proposal, Tim Draper. Hi there, Tim. So explain
Hi,
to
for
us.
having me on the show.
Explain to us why you are on a mission to split up California.
Well, I'm from California, and I've been here pretty much all my life, and I was a beneficiary of California being the best education system in the country. And we had great infrastructure then, and the state was beautifully run, and that was about 40 years ago. And now, fast forward 40 years, and we have a great economy and great things going on, but we are now paying the most for the worst service. We are of the 50 states, we're the largest, but we are the worst managed according to 24/7, and have been for the last 3 years. We pay the most, and we are 46th in education. We pay among the most for prisons, and we have the highest recidivism, or among the highest recidivism. We used to spend 26% on infrastructure, and now we spend 3% on infrastructure. California has failed us. The system is not working. We've had great people governing California, and for some reason it has not worked. And I think it's just too big, too unwieldy, and we're just not close to our government anymore.
There's a lot of skepticism. I was reading about this actually becoming a reality. Do you really think California can split up into 6 pieces? And I want to ask you, why 6? Why not 2 states? Why not 3 states? How'd you come up with these borders?
So what's great about creating 6 new states is that it gives California a refresh. If you started with a blank sheet of paper and you looked at California, there is no way you'd come up with a government you see today. Instead, with 6 Californias, it creates 6 new states that allows people the opportunity to first be a lot closer to their government, and it allows them to start over and start thinking what would be the best way to govern here. And if it were only 2 states, I mean, we have 1 state, it's a monopoly. It spends whatever it wants and gives you whatever service it wants to provide. If we had 2 states, probably be about the same situation, but we'd have 2 monopolies. Here, we've got, if it's 6 states, people can move from state to state pretty easily, and that means those governments have to really compete for us, and they have to improve. And they can cooperate. One can come up with a new way of governing, and then it can be replicated through the other 5.
I want to ask you, because there's going to be a lot of competing interests here. Water, especially, there's a drought right now, record-breaking drought. So water infrastructure is a huge issue. How do you presume these 6 states would be able to compete for water and quench everybody's thirst?
Oh, I think each state will make its own decisions with regard to water, and among the states, when water has to go across those state lines, it'll just work by state compact. People will negotiate the way they do naturally already from state to state. We take some of Colorado's water, and we all operate through state compact. But what's great about this is, well, for one thing, our infrastructure spending of 3% is making it so that there are leaks throughout our water system. They're not storing the water. If we have a huge rain, it just gets washed right over. And so we're not actually capturing the water that we could be capturing. And and it's very, very old technology. There are much better ways, both space-based and time-based, to store water. So, my belief is that the states that would have a lot of water would have the ability to redistribute that water in very, very much more efficient ways.
Now, California is a very diverse state in many ways. Geographically, there's a lot of different kinds of landscapes. Silicon Valley, economically, we know Silicon Valley is the big tech hub over there, and you know, San Francisco, San Diego, these all kind of have different economic interests. Silicon Valley obviously brings in a lot of money, a lot of revenue. I mean, how do you suppose these different parts of the states are able to sustain each other when there's going to be such a discrepancy between areas, 6 different areas?
Well, it's interesting. If you have a good government, that government allows the population of that state to thrive. And it's proven time and time again that if you create a good platform, economies boom. I mean, the U.S., when it was first started, our founding fathers laid down a platform from which we could all really thrive, and we did. And now the U.S. is the wealthiest and most the most prosperous nation in the world. Singapore, similarly, laid down a very nice platform, and they're, in the last 50 years, their GDP per capita has gone from about $200 to about more than $30,000. In the same way, by creating new platforms from which to grow in California, all 6 states will thrive economically. And if it is in people's best interest to keep certain things going, then their state will continue the way things are going today. In many cases, though I think you're going to see the states coming up with better, more creative solutions for how to manage water, education, prisons, all of that.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it makes it to the ballot. There could be on the ballot as soon as November. Thank you so much for coming on the show. That was Tim Draper, founder and managing director at Draper Fisher Jurvetson.
Thanks for having me.